All right, welcome to the Vulcan Soapbox. This podcast is dedicated to the principles of logic and teaching you how to reason at the highest level. I am your gracious host, Enos, and we are doing a Thanksgiving theme, different topic today. We will cover a lot of topics and themes dealing with Thanksgiving. But first, let me introduce my guest, man, Angel Fontanes. What's going on, sir?
How you doing? How you doing? Great to be here.
Yes, I'm glad to have you, man. Glad to see you
Good.
back, man. My guy.
Yes.
What's going on? Only facts and stats. What's up?
Yo, how's everybody, man?
Ah, man, I'm doing good. I can't
Yeah,
speak for
man.
everybody. I'm doing good, man.
Ready for this?
Yeah, man. I'm glad to have you back, man. And my guy, Derek Bang. What's up? Muted.
What's going on? Glad to be here. Let's rock.
Let's rock, man. Glad to see you as well. And my guy, Will. What's up, man?
What's going on? What's going on, fellas? Salute. How y'all doing?
Man,
What up, Cole?
I'm doing all right. My guy, Freshly Snipes, man. What's up, brother?
Just so you get my shots up, man. Let's get to it.
Right.
No,
right.
don't do that.
Not-
Trash. Trash.
fan?
You ain't got no flick of the wrist. Where your goddamn that? Get him off the court, coach.
That
Bang,
shirt
coaching, Bang.
kind of tight, man. I can't really. No.
Man, that shouldn't matter, man. You got, man, come on.
Yeah.
You got that smoke.
and my guy Vulcan, man, while we doing the show, man, we still doing it. What's going on, sir?
What's the deal, my people out there? I'm excited. We got a Thanksgiving themed show, as Eno said. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna make you think a little bit. So put your thinking cap on now. Don't put the dunce cap on. For those who old enough to know what that is, we're putting thinking cap on today. Let's get to it.
What an awkward guy.
Let's get it to it. Let's so the first question. Pull this up. The first question I'm gonna go over. I want to get y'all thoughts on this. All right,
No.
first question. Thank you for that. Fresh. Do we have reasons? Do we have more reasons than not to be thankful for hip hop? Let's just start with that question first. Do we have more reasons than not to be thankful for hip hop? I'm gonna go ahead and start with my. Let's get Angel in here.
Well, I can speaking for myself. I grew up hip hop. I grew up early in the 60s, 70s, and 80s in New York City area, Newark, New Jersey. I had a couple cousins of mine who were on the Rocksteady crew, and one of them was on the New York City Breakers. And how it came to me was I lived a young kid in Trenton, New Jersey, and I saw hip hop coming up, and I saw it how it affected us because before hip hop there was a lot of fighting, there was a lot of gangs, there was a lot of stuff going on, and so I think me personally, hip hop saved me from the streets, and it shaped not only me but a lot of my friends' upbringing. Now, as far as what is evolved to today.
Well, we might get into the how it would evolve. I just want to focus on having more reasons to be thankful. So
Yeah, I'm thankful for hip hop. It saved me and a lot of my siblings. Yes.
Okay. And you know what? I want to say this too. And like you say, you grew up in the the 60s and 70s, and for I don't know if a lot of people on this panel thought about this perspective. For some of these gentlemen that's on the panel, they actually remember a world before hip hop versus our generation. It was always there. So they might have I think they have a different perspective on how they view hip hop because they remember a world before hip hop was even here, All right, so let me get my guy Only Facts, man. Do we have any more reasons? Talk to me.
We should absolutely be thankful for hip hop. Should we be more thankful for hip hop than Thanksgiving? Is that the question?
Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah. We definitely got reasons to be thankful for hip hop. Definitely. Yes.
More reasons to be thankful. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Derek Band, I did this. I tailored this topic for you, man. So talk to me, man. I'm joking.
What a question, man. I plead the fifth. I mean, I don't even know. Do we have more reasons than not to be thankful for hip hop? I mean, I'm gonna say no.
Okay. So the first no we have.
That the game's
Okay.
Word.
Okay. Will.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with more reasons to be thankful than not to be thankful. Yes, I'm gonna say
so we got-
definitely yes.
Okay, so we got 3 yeses and 1 no. Fresh.
Yes.
Okay. Said it with his chest. Okay. All right. Vulcan.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, no. All right.
Contrarian.
All right.
He got his mug and he got his shirt zipped all the way up to the tippy top. He's
It's
ready
gonna
for
be a
smoke.
long one, boys. Pause.
2 no's. All right, I'm gonna switch the order. I'm gonna start with Will first, man. Tell me why you say yeah. There's more reasons than not.
Like my man was saying, from New York, actually
Jersey.
saved a lot of lives, man. A lot of people who
Right.
had. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I was just count. I was
Oh.
gonna count your read. One of them is saved all lives. I was thinking out loud. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, it legitimized a lot of people who really weren't getting opportunities and chances. Maybe they made a mistake, maybe in their past and things like that. So it gave jobs and opportunities, but creative outlets, for people who maybe didn't feel like they had another way or skill to express themselves. That maybe they don't know how to paint, or draw, or build something. Maybe they don't go fishing. So, it was something for them to be creative in a positive way and get out there and fellowship with other people. And yeah, I think it saved some lives and, introduced us to, a new form of
I got you.
artistry, musical artistry.
All right. Okay, I got you. So save lives, jobs, and positivity. I got you. All right. So hey, for the panel, be sure to mute your phones. Mute your phones. I'm hearing a lot of background noises. Or if you have to mute yourself, please. It's just distracting. Then bring Angel in here. Your reasons.
Yeah. So again, going back to my childhood, back before hip hop came around, it was a lot of gang banging going on. Really didn't have, the culture was kind of like lost in the mix. We really didn't have anything back then. And so when hip hop came around in maybe to me the early to mid 70s and all the way up into the mid 80s or something like that. Well, not even the mid 80s, 85, I would say 86, something like that. It just changed a lot. It just changed a lot because we just had something else to look forward to. People that wasn't good in sports, you can have some kind of artistry and breakdancing and doing hip hop, rapping and electric boogaloo, all kinds of things that you can just do and make yourself popular. Back then when hip hop was out, it brought out so many movements. So, like I was just talking, the breakdancing, electric boogaloo, turntables, graffiti. It brought out so much artistry all the way around. And I saw it save so many people back in the days. But again, it's different now. So that's my
Okay.
thing.
All right, so the same thing Will was saying, it actually saved lives, man. So let me bring only facts and stats, man.
Yo, so I think that I can definitely say that we as African Americans are the most influential culture in the world, and I think that I can absolutely say that it's through hip hop that we are the most influential, right? Hip hop is our #1 export in our community. You know, hip hop has created, has shown how creative we are, and it has shown, and it has carried on a lot of traditions that we have historically as far as storytelling, and created some of the greatest entrepreneurs in our society have been created through hip hop. Now, I'll also recognize that just like every other musical genre that I can think of, maybe except for gospel, that some other things, violence and violent ideation and other things that are negative have crept in, but it is still by far the #1 export of African Americans. So I definitely think that we should be thankful for it.
Okay.
If for no other reason than that.
All right, Derek Bang, talk to me, man. Derek Bang.
Well, I mean, the reason that I said no was, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
you. You can't hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, I was talking and you kept calling my name. All right. So the reason that I said no was, I mean, when you look at what mainstream hip hop promote, and just said, you've got the violence, drug use, hypersexuality, monogamy, greed, materialism. Like you said, we're influential. So the saggy pants and everything about the culture, for me as a believer, I look at it as it's promoted more stuff to get you caught in yourself, and it keeps you even further away from the creator. So for me, that's why I say no.
Mm. All right. Fresh as Snipes, man. You said yeah.
Yeah, just to kind of preface, while I agree with Derek Bain and a couple other panelists that hip hop has given a platform or a loudspeaker, if you will, to some of the baser aspects of our culture. I think those things, for the most part, existed before hip hop came along. Almost every form of music, to Derek Bain's point, is a form of look at me outside of gospel, which is kind of designed to to elevate the Lord. But I say yes because overall, I think that it's created independence for people, for marginalized people. It's given a voice to a marginalized people. It's created financial independence. Maybe not folks are not making the best decisions with that, but it's their money to do with that as they will. So I think overall, for the people as a whole, I think it's a positive
as a whole. Okay. All right. Vulcan.
Yes, sir. So real quickly, before I get into my reason why, I want to say that I think Enos was eager to get on this topic. So right here, so we're going to switch. I'm going to moderate the show, and Enos is going to become one of the more primary panelists. So he wants to give a little bit of insight and some wisdom. So we're going to switch it out a little bit. So now for me to get to my why, and then we're going to go into the transition of it. So my why for it is simply similar to what Derek said, but it has to do with the fact that are we more thankful for it than not? So one thing I do appreciate about hip hop is the rapping element of it. I love words. I love figurative language. I love double entendres and similes. We go to school. We learn an English class so we can be great writers. We celebrate guys like Shakespeare with iambic pentameter and things of that nature. And he created words like assassination and other things like that. And we love the figurative language. We love the words. And all those things is great. And you don't find that in such a condensed, concentrated form. You're not going to find that anywhere more than you find it in hip hop, hip hop specifically. And they use the vehicle of rap where you see it the most. So that part I love. I love that I can listen to it, whether it's a beat or no beat. I can listen to it when they battle rap. I love how the artsiness of it. I love the science of it. All of that stuff rolled into one. That's how important it is to me. Now, aside from that, when it comes to what you're rapping about, how you're influencing the culture, Black culture specifically. That part I'm not a fan of. And so that's the part where I go, we need to move beyond that part. I'm not thankful for that part. And because that makes up the majority of it, then I would have to go that I'm not for, I don't think we should be thankful for hip hop. I think it's worsened our ethnic image. You know, it's like we said, it's one of the biggest exports. Other countries have banned hip hop in a lot of places. It's underground in certain places because they ban it, because they don't want their people being influenced by it in the way that it's taken over our culture here in America. So even though it's the biggest export, if you're just looking at it as far as just money, then I get why you might say that. But as far as like look at ethics, morality, influence on the people that look like you, I think that it steers people in the wrong direction. I've had plenty of friends talk about how their exposure to hip hop caused them to go against the values that their parents gave them. You know, Biggie Smalls, what did he say? He got kicked out of his mother's house for the stuff that he was doing. Now, he wasn't doing that stuff because of hip hop. He was doing that stuff anyway. But guys who weren't in his situation, weren't even in his environment, were more influenced to go that direction because of the fact that they were able to export that particular subculture into other places where the environment wasn't prominent. And so it made a lot of us assimilate into a certain way we view women that's not biblical. It's not good for building communities and cultures. And so all of that right there, I would say, is against it. And then I would go into the more spiritual element of it, like KRS-One would say, talking about one of the elements of hip hop is knowledge of self. But when for their version of knowledge of self, it's more like self-worship. It's more of, you know, Allah. It's more of 5% doctrines and teachings, you know, what I would call paganism and heathenism. So I would say even in that element right there, I definitely wouldn't support it. So all those reasons why I would say that it's a net negative for all of us, even though we all can enjoy it and most of us are somewhat addicted to it. And that's just the reality of it. So that's what I would say as far as my why going into it. Now we're transitioning in. Enos, did you want to go ahead and give a why, or do you want to just catch the next one?
Yeah, I could give a why.
He didn't give his answer.
Whys. I could.
He didn't give did you get a yay or a nay?
Yeah, I say no. I'm gonna give 3 reasons why. Maybe I do 2. I'm gonna just whatever's on top of my head. All right. All of the negative stereotypes, all the negative ills that our culture deal with, hip hop put it on steroids. Now we got different genres within hip hop. Like you got the trap music, you got the b-boy music, you got different facets of the music. But a lot of times the most popular is the ones that put our ills on a big on a big screen. So it helps, you know, it's strong and it influences a lot of our youth in a lot of negative ways. So that's one reason why. And then we don't, as a community, most of us don't actually benefit financially from the culture. There's only a small group of people, a small percentage that actually get a lavish lifestyle for doing that, promoting this kind of music. So that's one. So we don't benefit financially, and the negative ills. That's just on top of my head right now. That's what I got right now.
So yeah, that's really good. So okay, so we have, if I'm correct, we have you're the one who's saying that it's not something to be thankful for all in all. Is that correct? Enos, you're saying that anybody else said that was the same situation for them as well? I think Derek may have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we got 2, and then we got Freshly. You said that for you it was.
I said it's a net positive for me.
Net positive. Okay. So what about what Derek or Enos is saying? Do you agree or disagree with? If you can do that in like 30 seconds or less.
You talking about me?
Yeah. What did Derek and Enos say that you disagree with?
Well,
if you disagree with anything,
my earlier answer. Well, no. I mean, I prefaced my entire answer with the things I agree with Derek Bain on. So I'll go over it again. I agree
that you disagree with.
That I disagree with?
Yeah. Well, what about you?
I don't disagree with anything Eno said.
Okay. Well, what about you?
I think, yeah.
I mean, the fellas made some good points, but I mean, y'all know me, man. I sometimes miss how I guess hip hop gets more of a villainous type of role. You know, like we spoke on before. It is a tool that can be used and manipulated in many different ways. And
well, let me
I'm
ask this
one
more
who,
specifically, real quick, then, because
okay,
Eno brings up the point that when it comes to hip hop, most people don't financially benefit from it. And is that correct, Enos? You were saying that?
Yes. It's
You
a
think that
small,
would
a
you agree
small
among
group.
a small group that actually benefit? Would you say, Enos, that the other people are they're just neutral, or they tend to suffer because of it?
Tend to suffer.
So, Will, would
I
you
think-
agree with that? That even though there's a small group of people that benefit from it, are there more people that you think that must suffer from it
financially,
financially? Yeah.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
I think that for the creators of the art, a lot of the money doesn't funnel back to where it maybe should. But I mean, from my understanding, a lot of families of these artists and label executives and producers, like they reap some of the rewards. I mean, some of these people help out. They have businesses outside of music where they can employ, family and friends and things like that. So to really put a number on how that trickles down to their community or to their circle of friends, it's kind of hard to do. But just from the people that I personally know that had a little foot in the game, the little bit of money they made, I mean, yeah, I mean, it went to, of course, some of their pockets, but they were trying to open businesses and buy trucks and get in the trucking game, and
Got you.
Somebody
Real
might need a
quickly,
bill
Will.
paid.
Real quickly, well, I want to go to Angel real quick. For you, you've heard Derek mention the spiritual element of it, and then also Enos mentioned, the people don't benefit from it. Most people don't benefit from financially, and they tend to more of a Ponzi scheme. People at the bottom tend to more suffer. And what I've heard about that before you answer is that, and I don't know if this is your point, but people that when it comes to subcultures, they'll say that people who try to dress like Lil Wayne, a lot of these rappers right here, they get the tattoos, they get the hair. The hair is a big deal. I just saw a stat that said that men who are well groomed have like a 60-70% more chance of having more social mobility financially. And so when people getting tattoos and doing more hip hoppy type garb, it can affect their ability to be assimilated into the dominant culture and be successful. I think that's part of what Enos's point is. So for Angel, what are your thoughts on that and the spiritual that Derek brought up?
I do want to try summarize the part you said. Is it promotes the anti-establishment, the way we dress, the stuff that they promote. Actually, it's against. It's not
assimilation.
Yeah.
You would say, right. Okay. Yeah. So Angel, how about for yourself? You got anything you want to say on that point?
Okay. So growing up in it, okay, I watched the Electric Playground come up. I watched the Funhouse in New York City come up. I watched how it brought all these hip hop artists, Lisa and Culture and Grandmaster Flash, Africana Bambaataa. If you tell me any rapper these days, I don't know who they are. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't listen to it. My wife don't listen to it. My son don't listen to it, and he in college.
So most of your thoughts on hip hop are going to be more nostalgic
from. I was saying earlier, hip hop has changed so much from what it was where I grew up in the New York, New Jersey area to what it is now.
Oh, you were right there close to the heart of it all.
I grew up in it. I broke dance. Now we got to remember, breakdancing came from Puerto Ricans. We started breakdancing in the boogie down.
Tariq may not agree with that one.
Bronx. Now the rapping and all that, that's the black culture. But the Puerto Ricans in the boogie down Bronx and graffiti, we started all that stuff in the boogie down Bronx. And again, I watched all these people come up, and it was a community. It was people helping other people get up. I've seen Madonna come to the Funhouse and help the community there when she was coming up. A lot of artists started from the Funhouse in the boogie down Bronx. A lot of artists, and it was a great thing back then. But today, man, that's garbage today. And the people that said no, I understand it, because you guys basing it on what we're hearing now. It's garbage.
All right, so stats for you. You've heard Derek's point, you've heard Enos's point, and everybody else's point. Like, anything about what they're saying that you have a point against, that you disagree with, that you'd like to shed more light on? You're on mute if you're talking.
So from my perspective, when you look at hip hop, and I think somebody said already, I think it was Vulcan who said it was a net positive. I don't remember if it was Vulcan or Freshly who said it was a net positive. I think it might have been Freshly, right? It was a net positive, right? Like everything has to go on the scale, right? Someone just said that it was like anti-establishment, right? But when you think about like every culture and every art style has had anti-establishmentarianism in it. I mean, if you think back to, you know, the Federalist Papers and John Adams and the Revolutionary time and all that. I mean, there's never been a time, and even, you know, even with the Egyptians and Moses. I mean, you know, we've always had that establishmentarianism in every culture in some sort of way. So to discount hip hop because of that, I think is unfair, right? When we talk about that only a small group financially benefits, I think that's unfair because I think hip hop, from the outside looking in, shows us what is possible. And I think art always does that, right? So even though you may not be economically benefiting from hip hop, you see the possibility to economically benefit from something that the majority of your society is not participating in, right? So it should spark that creativity. You know what I'm saying? So I think sir?
I said for sure.
And I think there are so many positives about hip hop that, you know, even when we put it on the scale against the negative parts of it, that it would absolutely outweigh it tremendously, right? Because there is no negative in hip hop that is not in common society without hip hop.
Got you.
That's what I'm gonna.
All right, so yeah, excellent point right there. So real quickly before we go to something else, let me go ahead and get these comments. Freshly, if you don't mind putting the comments up, I'll go ahead and read them. Anthony Blackshear says there was a world before hip hop. Question mark.
Yes, I made that statement. Yes, it was. I think we all should be able to agree with that.
Yeah, so I think we'd all agree with that right there. There was a world before that. Curtis Dilworth says, but at the same time, that's weak-minded. Music can't control what you do. And I'm sure most people will agree that music can't control what you do. I think the question is going to be, can music influence what you do? And has there been any studies to suggest that be the case?
Yep.
You know, I will say there was a study where there's a study that they did where they looked at the billboards over the last, 20, 30 years. I can't remember how long it was. And they categorized every single genre of music to see which one had the most negativity in it. And hip hop had more negativity than like all the other ones put together. And then when you look at a lot of the studies that talk about the negativity, it says that when young people hear negative messaging, hip hop or not, that part is not specific to hip hop. It does increase it makes them more desensitized to authority. It makes them more aggressive and things of that nature. There have been studies that say that it does have an influence on people, you know, as far as the studies go. So that's a good point. We got another comment, or that's the last one?
No, we only got one more.
Help the Bear says,
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's referring to the comment you just made.
Okay, yeah. Help the Bear says some people wouldn't agree with you. It's always the case. Shout out to Help the Bear. All right, so what we're gonna do right now, this topic right here was meant to just be a conversation starter, something light, something most of us are thankful for, whether it's rap, whether it's hip hop. Now we're gonna get into more centrally themed conversations about Thanksgiving, and we all hear them every year, you know, on college campuses and on the political sphere and on the news. So we're gonna get into some things that are more specific to the Thanksgiving discussion we have every year. So everybody buckle up. It's gonna be a good ride right here. So let's get to the next question. So panelists, the question is going to be, is Thanksgiving a racist holiday? And we're going to start with you, Will. Yes or no, is Thanksgiving a racist holiday?
I'm going to go yeah on that.
Okay. Mr. Angel, what you got? Yes or no?
Wow. That could go both ways. It really can.
If you get to lean, which one is you leaning more towards?
Ooh,
If there was a Tower of Pisa and it was in the middle and it's a little shaky.
If we're talking about the beginning, yes.
So your answer is going to be: is Thanksgiving a racist holiday? Your answer yes.
If we're talking about the beginning, yes.
So Angel's going to go with yes. Stat, what about yourself?
No.
Derek, what you got? Yes or no?
No.
Enos, what you got?
No.
Fresh.
Nope.
Okay, so we got some no's and we got some yeses. It's gonna be interesting right here. So it's Thanksgiving a racist holiday. So we're gonna first start it out with, in 30 seconds or less, Will, you give explanation for why your answer is. Say what your answer was again, and then explain why.
It said, is Thanksgiving a racist holiday? And I probably would have to go with yeah, man. That's my answer on that. You know, and
why?
Yeah, the reason being, I guess, when you look at the name and what it became here in America, like there's been celebrations for being thankful for the crops and the harvest and things coming in like that. Like that predates, you know, the so-called actual beginning of Thanksgiving. You know, you celebrate the crops coming in and we thankful, or it's there's been like sacrifices around that time to the you know, to the gods and things like that. So I get that part of it. But if we're talking about Thanksgiving, which some people don't agree with the name, similar to Columbus Day, when you think about that particular holiday, the origin story of it, they say it was the was it? For lack of a better term, I'm gonna say pilgrims. You know, I can't think of the name of those.
I got you. Yeah, you in the ballpark there.
Yeah. They came in and the actual celebration for the first couple of days, they didn't even invite the Native Americans to the party to break bread with them. You know, they were thankful for being able to make it to somebody else's land who showed you how to till the soil, looked out for you and things like that. You already brought them disease. So you're thankful to come over there and make it from the hell that you escaped, you know what I'm saying, to come over here. And then now what? You don't want to break bread with them? You're going to celebrate without them?
Got you. Cool. So Angel, you got a minute too. Thanks for that, Will. You got a minute, Angel.
Okay, so first I want to bring up woke. Okay, let's think about woke for a second. And the second thing I want to think about is my friend down the street who is American Indian. He is Cherokee. And I remember 3 years ago when I met him, he was an old veteran just like I am. And I asked him, hey, man, we having Thanksgiving dinner. You know, you and your wife can come. And he like, no, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving. So I was shocked. I said, well, you Jehovah's Witness? And he says, no. And then he told me, you know, his story, American Indian, and showed me pictures of his tribe and all that stuff. And he said, basically, it's like a day of remembrance for their ancestors and how they were treated and their ancestors, because Indians passed stories down and down and down, and it, you know, eventually got to him. So he said, just like Will was talking about, you know, it was the first Thanksgiving was more like a setup, and it was just, you know, basically how somebody's trying to treat you good, and then they want to stab you in the back. Okay, so it's so much history that he spoke about that made it look really bad for them. You know, we as Americans, blacks, Hispanics, whites, we don't look at Thanksgiving that way because it didn't affect us.
For sure.
It didn't affect us. We don't have a first view from ancestors passed down to ancestors. Now we could talk about slavery that's been passed down.
I just want to make sure for you. So you're saying because of what your friend shared with you, that's why you view it as a racist holiday.
Right. And that's why I view it as racist. And you don't know until you know. Until you
don't know until you know. Shout out to you. And if you don't know, now you know. So only facts. You up, and then Enos, have you go next. Only facts.
So it is definitely not a racist holiday. It's a national tradition. it's national tradition, and for non-European people specifically, it should be a time of like gratitude and togetherness, taking the opportunity to think about the sentiment. And without disregarding the tradition, I mean, you can, acknowledge historical pain, but it is not a racist holiday. It's a celebration of faith, family, and so I'm just gonna leave it there.
Got you. Okay, Enos, about for
All
yourself.
right. Yeah, I said no, and I disagree with Angel. I don't think it was rooted in racism. Like I know you said in the beginning it was, and now it's not. I think even in the beginning when Abraham Lincoln declared it as a holiday, it wasn't. When it was founded, it was based off of giving and positive. So I don't think it was racist when it's in its inception. It's not racist now. So I would disagree with Will and Angel on that.
Okay. Derek, how about for yourself?
Well, the interesting thing is we live in a world now where all you got to do is change the definition of what you think something is. And so, like we talked on one of your last shows with Halloween, should Christians partake in Halloween? And then when you broke it down as to, is me getting a costume demonic? Is that me not being a Christian? Is me going to a house and getting candy? Is that same process I would look at for Thanksgiving? It's what part of it is race, like race involved at all. For me, I would look at it simply as it's a holiday for families to get together to be thankful. And I'm saying this, even if I were Indian right now and it was my history, this day, I still wouldn't view it as a racist white man day they stole from us and did, but I still wouldn't do it because you can change the narrative on what that day is now. You can't stop his Genesis, but you can definitely change his Exodus. And so that would be my take on it.
All right, Mr. Fresh, what you got? And also, when you respond to anybody you want to cross-examine after you get done saying what you want to say, feel free to do it, or I'll go to somebody else to cross-examine somebody.
Checking in. Go ahead and start and say real quick that I don't think it's racist. It doesn't have roots in racism. Dinner, feasts, if you will, have been used across history, despite race, despite differences, to betray people. And that's if you subscribe to that particular way things went, that's fine. But I don't think it was rooted in racism, right? It's been used that way across cultures for different races, for same races. I imagine there's been betrayal at a feast set by, Chinese people for Chinese people, Europeans for Europeans. It's just a conquering culture. The person that wants to take the other culture out, utilizing a time stamped tradition to facilitate what they want to do. I don't think it's racist. Maybe crooked, right? We can go there. It might be wrong. It might be, villainous, but racist. I don't think it's based on racism, because Thanksgiving in its inception is just a feast that they put on to celebrate their first harvest. And, that's by definition. They invited the I don't know how to pronounce it, the Wampanoag or Wampog, Wampanoag people to celebrate with them. Tragic. I apologize for butchering that, but even if their initial intentions were nefarious, I don't believe they were nefarious based on racism.
Okay, so in light of that, is anybody you want to cross-examine, or I can go somebody else, see if somebody else wants to cross-examine somebody? You have Will and Angel who said it was racist. So we got Curtis Dilworth says right here, definitely not a racist holiday in my eyes. And then Curtis also said, if it's so racist, don't celebrate it then. Laughing emojis. Trey.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to cross-examine Derek or Angel or Will. Excuse me, Will and Angel. Will and Angel. Yeah. I just think that they are looking at it from a specific perspective, which is a popular perspective But I think if you break it down and you get into the reason and logic of it all, that it's really hard. You have to kind of jump through some hoops to get it to mean that. I want to say it's Occam's razor that says the simplest answer is usually the answer. You got to do a lot of kind of tap dancing to, especially us not being there, right?
Okay,
to make
I get
it racist.
that's what you believe, but I don't know if Will and Angel would take that same approach to it. Will and Angel, any of y'all want to cross-examine anybody on the panel real quick, or or if you can even go to Freshly.
I mean, just the whole notion of it, potentially not being racist. I can't get with that. You know what I mean? I think that now I'm finna butcher the name. What you said, the Wampanoags, right? I believe that's the name.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah. And that's where the stories kind of differ. I heard they had to find out about the celebration on their own. They had to walk down there because, the Pilgrims was like busting their guns, for the celebration. So they're like, yo, is this wartime? So one of the chiefs went over there, brought a couple of his guys to see what was happening. And they was like, nah, we celebrating. They was like, oh, that's what's up, man. Well, we'll bring some food down here with y'all, and we'll break bread and celebrate, with y'all making it in the harvest and all that.
So the natives weren't invited to barbecue.
Will, let me ask this
question. They wasn't invited at first, which is crazy. That's like coming to somebody's house and whipping up food. Like, nah, man, this for me. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you a question. Let me present something to you real quick. So if the holiday is racist, how is it racist if they weren't even invited?
That's what I'm saying. The caucasity.
No, but you said the holiday itself is
the caucasity of it all.
Yeah, like you come to my land with seeds I gave you to grow and showed you how to do it, and y'all celebrating learning how to farm over here that I showed you, and we can't get down at the party with you. That's
so you go to your neighbor's house and borrow some sugar for a cake you baking
at my house,
or some sugar to put in your grits.
And no Pilgrims got a lot of sugar.
You
Quaker oats, man. Them Quaker oats.
You got to invite your neighbor over for grits or cake. You borrow some eggs, they got to come over for breakfast.
I think if I'm doing it at their house, like that's like staying in somebody's crib and just being like, yeah, I'm gonna cook their food. I'm gonna put my feet on the couch, and eventually I'm gonna kick them out. That's what's going on. So when I cook this food, he can't eat it, even though he letting me live here and helping me out. I'm gonna cook this food, and he just got to smell it and feel a way about it. Like, who does that?
Real quick, Will, just so the audience everybody can follow, or because Will's point is the reason why it's racist is because of the fact that the natives were not invited. Does anybody second that motion? Angel, do you feel the same way about that? Do you think that because you think they weren't invited, one, and then number two, if they weren't invited, that's racist?
Do you even think they used the word racist back then?
Good question. Got Coach Andre on the scene. Hold up, baby.
What up? I just finished a coaching session, man. What's going on, fellas?
Sir. All right, so Will is saying that it was racist because the Native Americans weren't invited to the Thanksgiving initially.
That's the tip of the iceberg right there. That's the tip.
Yeah, and so do we know for a fact that they weren't invited? Is anybody on the panel? Is it for sure? Do y'all all agree that they weren't invited? Stats, I see you shaking your head.
From everything I know, it's just the opposite. That they have been invited to celebrate together and have harvest feasts.
And if they weren't invited, would you consider that an act of racism?
If they were not invited specifically because of their race, yes. But I don't. From everything I know, the Pilgrims were more focused on religion than race because they were from mixed countries. All of them were from mixed countries, So they was all from different places. So they were focused on religion more than race.
Okay. So we got Will saying that's a reason. And Angel, you mentioned the historical context specifically with your friend and how they view it. Is there anybody on here that you want to cross-examine? And real quickly, before you answer that, just so everybody understands, it says that the man who presents his case first seems right until another comes and cross-examine. So I want to give people opportunity to cross-examine something they might hear. So don't be bashful, y'all. Don't be shy. This is what it's all about, because this is how iron sharpens iron, and we get to a better place. When you see here's something you disagree with, if you want to, go to somebody and express your disagreement and cross-examine them, feel free to do so. If not, I'll keep moving it around. But don't be shy for my sake. I'll be fine. Go ahead, Derek.
Don't be scared.
I got a question for Will. Will, do you eat chitlins?
Oh man, I used to, man. Hey, me, my brother, and my pop, we would put down like 40 pounds just between the three of us. But I ain't ate pork in like 20 years, man. 25 years, 22 years, something like that.
So
but I used to, though. Yeah.
So now watch this. Somebody could say that you're promoting the negative aspects of what the slave masters did to us, or to the slaves at the time, because that's all we could eat. They gave us, they gave them the scraps, and then we did it. So here we are in 2025, people eating chitlins. It's like you see how we're viewing Thanksgiving. Someone could make an argument the same thing with the foods we eat from the situation we were in. It's like, are we promoting and glorifying how we were in slavery, because now the foods that they made us eat, because we couldn't do anything else, now we're eating them on our own.
Well,
I'm just throwing something out there, like that's how easy it is to get somebody to, they can come up with their own opinion about what something is. And that to me was an example of, well, we're eating stuff that if we had money back then from the jump, we would have never eaten the parts of the pig that we ate. We wouldn't even.
Let me say one thing real quick. We are all basing this on historical knowledge that has been promoted through books that we read. How in the world do we know that those pilgrims understood the language that these Indians were talking about back then? We don't know that, but if we read these history books, they will make us think that, oh yeah, they just got along very well. They spoke to each other. Really? That's all.
That's a good point.
But Angela, I would say that without better information, how can we refute the information that we have on hand?
We can't. We got to, just like one day we'll be woke on that too. One day.
Yeah. Even if they were excluded,
for the gaps,
we would have to prove that they were excluded because of their race to make it racist.
And I base what I just said on speaking to my friend and hearing ancestors to ancestors to ancestors to ancestors and bringing it down to him. And he just filled me up with so much stuff. I remember when I was in a Catholic school in Trenton, New Jersey, why the Puerto Ricans had to dress up like the Indians and the white was of the Pilgrims?
Because they brown.
Right.
Closest thing we got.
Exactly.
They don't know the difference.
All dressed up like the Indians. I was told, I want to wear that nice black cap and have the gun. Well, I got to have a little feather in my head and a little tomahawk in my hand.
The thing with oral tradition, I'm not saying that's not a good source, and we learn a lot from oral tradition, but the difference between I'm gonna say this, why I'm leaning more towards the historical accounts, people writing about it, because it could be tested by multiple sources. You can't always do that with oral tradition. Oral traditions. So even with your friend, we don't know what Native American, you might know that, but it's multiple tribes that have multiple stories and different stories and encounters they have with the so-called pilgrims.
And there are Native Americans who do celebrate Thanksgiving. I've seen that, as well. So you got some on both sides there. So real quickly, does anybody else have anybody to cross-examine before we go to the next topic?
I just want to add on for a second. You know what I'm saying? Like, from what I'm looking at, I just, typed it in. From the articles and from, I guess, the people they interviewed who are from the tribe and, got their own understanding, they saying they weren't invited. They heard the gunfire and had to go down there. But, these are people who had a certain understanding, I guess, with these incoming settlers already. They had peace treaties in line. So I think the answer sometimes doesn't come out immediately, you know, I think over time we can look back and say, okay, when you look at when Lincoln put it into place, maybe knowing what he know or didn't know, is this representative of that particular holiday? Like, even just the name itself, you know, why couldn't it just be called Family Day? Or why all the, like my man said, the symbolism that comes along with it?
We gotta observe all the kings.
Yeah, like the symbolism.
Real quickly, Will.
Just says Thanksgiving.
Yeah. But real quickly, so
Thanks for giving us your land, right? Is that what it is?
I don't think anybody had any more cross examinations they want to do. So
I have one.
You had one? Go ahead and cook.
Yeah. So Angel, based on your latter answers, if you were to pull out and be objective about it, right? So your initial answer was based almost solely on what your Native American friend told you.
Mm-hmm.
With that information plus all the other information, do you still believe it's a racist holiday?
Today, to me, no, not to me. Not to me it is. Yeah, not to me it isn't.
And that's kind of what I
not to me.
Answers
you know, time has passed and evolved. I think Thanksgiving has evolved into something that what it is today.
Okay. So real quickly, then,
what it was back then. I want to give Coach
Dre a chance to just say that the question was, is Thanksgiving racist, and then why? So if you can just do it like, you know, a minute and a half or less, just kind of explain, then we'll go into comments and then the next topic.
I personally don't think that it's racist because Thanksgiving. Well, let me ask this question. Does anybody know, do they celebrate Thanksgiving in other countries?
Yes.
They do?
Yeah, from my understanding, yeah.
No, it's an American holiday.
No,
I don't know. I'm asking because I don't even know. I think it's an American thing, but I don't know.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I believe it's celebrated in other countries. Let me check it out.
Let's say it's primarily an American holiday, right? So, in my personal opinion, and based on what I read and study, America is not a country. America is a business. What makes it different, being a business, is that everything here is based on being for profit. That's it. So they've taken everything that was bad or negative or good, and they've tainted and changed it in such a way where they can make a capital gain from it. So look at Christmas, look at Thanksgiving, look at Easter. Every month there's some holiday to where you're expected to go out and spend money on something for someone or for yourself. Thanksgiving is no different. In terms of the historical context about the pilgrims, I personally don't know enough about that to speak eloquently on that. But the fact remains the same, just like any other holiday in America, it's all made for monetary gain.
Got you. Excellent.
Hey, Vulcan, if I can have a moment, though. Vulcan.
Go ahead.
So I know that the sentiments of the Pilgrims and the Indians is really entrenched in our thoughts when we think about Thanksgiving. But if we think about when it was made a holiday, right? We were in the middle of the Civil War, right? And Lincoln said he did it more so to give a sense of national unity, because if you remember, Lincoln throughout was trying to bring it all together. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to create a sense of national unity through Thanksgiving more than anything. It never existed prior to that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, as a national holiday, it didn't.
Right, as a national holiday, it didn't even exist. You know what I'm saying? So, like, let's kind of remember that too when we think about.
We gotta remember the Civil War is right back.
You know.
Yeah, good, excellent point on the facts. We got to remember the Civil War is right on that point. Freshly, do we have any comments? Yeah. So, Help the Bear says, "Here we go with woke-ish. Define country, brother." So I think that was to Dre. We got another comment. Help the Bear says, "Eating 40 pounds of boo-boo was insane, bro."
Hey, we used to go in, man. We used to go in.
About the chitlins earlier, brother. All right, what else we got? That's it. Okay, so let's go and get into the next question, fellas. We covered that pretty well. So why do Black folks criticize the behavior of the colonizers more than we do the natives? And I would, say it's even outside of Black people, you see people doing that. A lot of white liberals and progressives, especially on the university campus. I've seen people go to university campus and they have conversations, and there's a very similar shared sentiment about this historical situation. So we'll say Black folks here, but you can even, take it out to the broader community as well. If you just go to any college campus, you're going to hear the same thing as you might hear a Black person echo about this. So, but why do Black folks criticize the behavior of the colonizers more than they do the Native Americans? And we'll start off with Coach Dre on this. If you could just do that in a minute or less, why you say so?
Say that. Why do I say it one more time?
Why do we criticize the behavior of the colonizers more than we do the natives, the Native Americans that were there? When you're on college campus, when you watch online, when you hear people talking about, whether Thanksgiving is racist or the atrocities that have taken place in the past, when they speak about the different cultures, why is the emphasis typically on what the Pilgrims were doing?
Versus where should it be? What's the alternative?
The classic question with a question.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what you got. You got anything else?
Nah, that's it. Because I don't understand where else can it go?
All right, Derek, go about for yourself.
That's all I got, bro.
Derek, can you hear me?
Oh, I didn't know you. I didn't hear. No. I think one of the ways the reason we do that is it could be generational trauma. It could be the historical memory, anger. It could be all these things injustice. It could be the things that reminds us of things of the past. So that might be why they focus on that than something else.
Okay. Enos, what about for yourself?
I'm gonna go with the teachers, more the Black activists, the Black existentialism in our community. That's what they teach. So a lot of us, we work at everyday jobs, 9 to 5. We're not doing a lot of research, looking at what was really going on back in those days. We tend to listen to people that actually do those research, and I think that's why we give them more of a hard time than the question. Yeah, but I think that's why we put more emphasis on the colonizers.
Yeah, so just to help everybody kind of frame the question for the audience and everybody out there, excellent point, Derek and Coach. So if you just think about when we criticize the colonization of America, especially leading from Plymouth Rock all the way down the line to the Civil War and stuff like that, when you think of all the criticism that takes place, what percentage goes to Native Americans? What percentage goes to the colonizers? I think most of us would say overwhelmingly it's the colonizers that get criticized. So the question is,
I see what you're saying. I get it now.
Yeah, the question is why. And so, Will, you go ahead and go.
My bad. What was the question, brother?
Okay, we'll go to Angel real quick. Go ahead, Angel. I'll get back to you, Will, on that.
In the words of a great man that told Spider-Man, good old Uncle Ben, he said,
with great power
comes great responsibility. Okay. And later that in our world, Winston Churchill said something to the effect of, where there is great power, there is great responsibility. So back in those days, who had the power? The power came from the Pilgrims. Just like a child might be acting up, and that child is so bad, and the mama's just as worse, or the dad is just as worse. That's the power. That's the source. Okay. So what I say that to say that the colonizers had all the power. With that power, they imposed control. They took land by force, and unjust means they just, what's the word I'm saying? They just imposed their will on the Native Americans.
Will, what you was doing to them over there?
What you mean? What happened?
And they was imposing their will. So Will, for yourself, why do you believe that the colonizers receive a lot more criticism than the natives?
I'll go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, I like to answer. I had an answer before. I didn't understand the question. I understand it now. My answer is because it wasn't just done to them. It was a constant progression of things they were doing in other areas and other countries and all over. So we're speaking on not just what was done there, but a continuation of what has kept being done. That's why.
Got you. Okay. Will, what about for yourself?
Yeah, I think he summed it up pretty well, man. I guess the natives are more so looked at as being open to foreigners and visitors and, you know, immigrants or whatever coming to the land that they've been on for who knows how long. So being open to invite somebody into your home, and this is how they repay you, so to speak. Like what is that they say is diabolical, man? Is diabolical. You know, that
Taken
was
advantage of.
yeah, it's taken advantage of, and that's why I think you see the holiday take on a tone or a sentiment of racism, in my opinion, because it was being done by people who not only was doing similar things in other areas, but to keep perpetuating the imagery to this day. You know, you check, like I said, the Macy's Day Parade in 2 days, you're gonna see pilgrims, you're gonna see these things that give you this mindset, and it almost seems like arrogance to a degree when it comes to certain, you know, people who were here. It's like, yo, we know we owed the freedmen some money. Think we ever gonna give you that? Nah, bro.
We gotta go to something else right now. I appreciate you, Will.
Yeah.
I know you can't let one cook too much, man. Okay, so only facts and facts.
Right.
It's on you, my guy.
All right, I'm gonna take my whole 60 seconds. Listen, I'm a couple inches over 6 feet. I'm a few pounds over 300. Right? If you walked up on me beating up Vern Troyer, the guy that played Mini Me, right? If you walked up on me beating him up, you would criticize me. No matter how many times Vern Troyer got up on a stool and hit me in my face and I told him going on, no matter how many times he picked up a stick and hit me in my leg, no matter how many times he talked about my mama, when you walked up and saw me beating him up, you would criticize me. It was only because they were more powerful. But I would say, in defense, that I believe the so-called Native Americans, because I don't believe they're Native Americans, but the so-called Native Americans did the absolute most they could against the Pilgrims, just like the Pilgrims did the most they could against the Native Americans. They were at war sometimes. And I mean, ain't no such thing as a fair fight. If I'm stronger than you, I'm going to win. If I'm not stronger than you, I'm going to lose. I'm going to land right there.
Bars, mic drop. Everybody, let's have a moment of silence real quick. No, sorry, Derek, I know you want to go, but we got to get Fresh in real quick.
No, I was doing the mic drop.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Fresh, what you got? Why do we criticize the behavior of the colonizers more than we do the natives?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Here in America, and I think most places don't blame the victim for being a victim.
Not the Fresh I know.
No, you don't know Fresh. You know CJ. All right, that's a different person.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah. All right.
Percy Snipes is a man of the people.
Yeah. You guys have anything else, or that's what you got for that?
No, man. Who blames the victim?
Okay, cool. So does anybody want to cross-examine somebody? Because if not, then I'm gonna cross-examine y'all. So So I'm gonna start off by giving my point on this, because I think a lot of people echoed very similar points. So for me, the reason why I think that the colonizers getting all the blame and not the Native Americans is, one, I think we have a misunderstanding about the history of it. Number two, and that goes to what Enos's point was as far as how we're being taught about Thanksgiving, and also the historicity of the Pilgrims, Native Americans, and the forming of the nation and who got displaced and the things of that nature.
I want to interject if you don't mind. I did say Black teachers in our community, but I think historians all together in our history books, you've seen what they were saying with John, the fifth president Jackson, when he moved all the Native Americans to Oklahoma. So historians in general put more negative connotation on the colonizers and lumped everybody together. Pilgrims, colonizers, all one big person. Is actually a more it's deeper than that. It's more complicated than that.
Deeper than rap. So
All right,
yeah,
go
so
ahead.
for me, I think that part of the issue is this. Like I said, we're being taught it. I think a little bit skewed, and then also a part of it is this right here. The Native Americans don't have a major impact on our daily lives. Their culture is not mass produced and disseminated and is not a big export. So we don't know that much about who they used to be, how they used to be, to even have a real criticism of them. Now, that stuff is available to us, but most of us aren't going to do the research. But I do think it kind of goes to only facts and stats point that he brought up about both groups were doing what they could. So part of the reason historically that even the people that the Thanksgiving they had with those people, they was even able to do that is because they had tribes they're warring with at the time. So a lot of times there was only like 500 people that came to be able to start these different colonies and stuff like that at different points in time. You know, well, that's some of the conquistadors and stuff like that. But so how could those people right there dominate the land to where we have it the way it is today? They were striking deals, just like in the transatlantic slave, they struck deals with the African kings over there. They struck deals with tribes who needed allies to fight against rivaling tribes. You had tribes that were very, violent, tribes that had more power, more population. They were more aggressive people, and they were going against tribes who were less aggressive and needed more help. And so these tribes were allying themselves with the colonizers in order to be able to accomplish their goals. Now, did that overall lead to their displacement in the end? In a lot of ways, it definitely did. But when they first came over here as the Pilgrims, their goal, they were fleeing religious persecution. They wanted to get their own. They wanted to get their own place. And when they came over here, it wasn't like they weren't allowed to be here. I think at the time of the Thanksgiving dinner, as a matter of fact, I think 50% of them had passed away from like famine or something like that. And there was actually more Native Americans at the Thanksgiving than there were even Pilgrims. And so going from that place to where we are now, I think if we look at not just there's Native Americans and then there's colonizers, there's a bunch of different tribes. And then a new tribe comes in called Pilgrims. And now they're all doing what all of them are doing. And to stats and facts point, one of them has the gun and other ones don't. They didn't have the numbers, so they didn't have power in that sense. Maybe they had superior strategy and they had the gun. So anybody disagree with that?
What do you mean, maybe? They definitely had those things.
Oh, maybe on as far as the guns part of the population. I don't think they had the population, but I do think that they had they definitely had the guns. And part of the reason why these Native American tribes, they would align themselves with the colonizers because they wanted access to guns and they learned how to deal with the horses because they didn't have horses at that time. Those are exported over here. And so what happens is, so they can fight against their own enemies, they align themselves with the colonizers. So I think that if we look at it as just a colonizer, just another tribe, just like the other tribes that are out there, North America was populated with tribes, millions and millions of people. And so I think if you look at it just different tribes, a lot of the negative connotations and the negative press that the colonizers get, I think a lot of that withers away. Anybody have a point about that? Or
I mean, why is it wherever you go though on the planet, the natives or the aboriginals got to be, overthrown or overtaken or subjugated to what, a lot of people seems to be people that look very similar to one another or have connections to one another over time. Why is that, what we see playing out so often, and either taking land by force or making deals only to break them later on,
I'll say this: I'm not saying there was no deals that were broken, but a lot of it was mind you, there's language barriers going on with this. There's no internet. I mean, I know y'all know that, but I'm just painting this picture for the audience. There's no internet. You literally come to a foreign land, you hit a winter. A lot of your population is decimated by natural causes, and then they don't understand germs yet as well. So you got to understand what happens is they're going over there, and as they interact with native populations, a lot of the native populations are decimated primarily by the fact that they don't have immune tolerance to some of the things that the guns and diseases by help the bear. Thanks. They don't have a tolerance to a lot of the diseases they have, so that hurt that population right there. So I would say part of the reason why they go placing population start to decrease is partly because both groups fight for resources, just like the Native Americans were already doing before the colonizers showed up. They were fighting. They had slavery. They had all kinds of different stuff going on there. And so and nothing that the colonizers did was that distinct from what was already happening there. That's why I say if you look at it more as there's all these different tribes, and then a new tribe shows up. They didn't even land where they were trying to go. You know what I'm saying? And they showed up right in the winters upon them. And it was tough, struggling for resources in a new place. And there's a language barrier. So, Will, what do you have to say about that? Or if anybody wants to address that point?
I mean, I look at it similar as I guess somebody coming new to a family or coming to a block. You know, we've been growing up doing this right here with these particular people. If I got a problem with dude, you know, that's our hood politics. You coming in inviting a whole new dynamic.
It's not the same hood though. See, I get if the colonizers showed up and everybody was living in harmony and they started some trouble. No, they was already wars, beefing, all kind of pillaging, all kind of stuff was already going on in these places. Again, slavery, you know, you got to think raids, you know, taking each other's women, all that kind of stuff was already taking place. So they show up and they just join the party.
So you saying if you move a family into your crib and they staying with you and you have an argument with your spouse, you saying that Billy from the other family, from the visiting family, can comment on your argument?
Well,
or jump on my wife's side.
In your fight?
Yeah, I wouldn't liken the continent to a house. So that would be, I guess, part for me where the analogy would partly break down. And then also, I was going to make this point. Thanks for bringing it up. They had different understandings of what land ownership was. So a lot of the times when they talk about cities being broken and stuff like that, some of that was they had different, because again, these people lived in way different parts of the world. And again, there's no Google. They're meeting fresh. Not the fresh we have on the show, but they're meeting fresh. So what happens is when they're doing that, they don't know, you know, all the different ins and outs of their philosophical beliefs on ownership of property and stuff like that. They're still, you know, they were still debating socialism and all kind of different forms of government, even in their own land that they were in, figuring out how that stuff works, monarchies and stuff like that. They don't have the knowledge that we have today. So my point is saying, I think, and if y'all agree or disagree, if y'all don't disagree, we can move on to the next topic. But for me, I just want to make it clear that how I'm looking at it is right here. The part of the reason why that we don't criticize the Native Americans as much as we colonizers is because we don't know that much about the Native Americans. We don't care to know. People are able to corral, and I've seen studies that show that people are able to corral and have friendships that last for long periods of time off of hating a shared enemy. So we can all learn in school that the Pilgrims are bad and the Native Americans were good, or at least they were the victims, and the colonizers, they told the story, and we still see them, the people that look like them today. We just go, that's the bad guys. We don't need to know anything else. But I think that when in so doing, we do a disservice to our children and those around us, because sometimes I think it makes it look worse than what it really was. And in so doing, we don't appreciate what we really have. We don't have the thankfulness that we should have during this season for all that went into us being able to be here right now in the most prosperous country in the nation. We saw most prosperous country in the world. Anybody want to cross-examine that?
I want to ask Will a question if don't nobody want to cross-examine you.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Will.
What's up?
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to respond based on what I believe you were saying, but were you saying that colonizers in different parts of the world all look the same, meaning they were all like mostly Europeans and stuff like that? Is that basically what I was hearing you say?
To a degree, it's kind of what I'm saying. Like wherever you go, almost globally. Well, yeah, we'll say globally. Yeah. A lot of the natives to that land or the aboriginals to that land have either been, you know, invaded, overthrown, colonized by somebody who don't look like the people of that land initially. You see what I'm saying? And I mean, it's a topic we spoke on before, but it's a real thing when you look at colorism and supremacy when it comes to the hues and the colors of individuals. Of course, you're gonna have those complicit with it. you know, that might look exactly like me or you. But historically, globally, worldwide, you can sit down and really point that out to your kids and be like, yo, look what was done over here. Look what was done in Australia. Yo, look what they did in Japan. Yo, look what's going on in the DR. Look what's going on in Brazil. You know what I'm saying? The darker skin is always subjugated, man, to you know, trying to be the lesser class, and that's globally. So
shout out to Genghis Khan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say, that's really not true, because you got to think about Hannibal, right? You think about Hannibal. Hannibal looked like us, right? Hannibal is the reason that Italians and the Europeans in that region have African descent. I mean, have African
Sicilia,
have African DNA in their have African in their DNA, right? When you think about the movie The 300, you know, Xerxes was a real guy. You know what I'm talking about? And he was all his people was all in Europe. You know what I'm saying? When you think about Genghis Khan, when you think about why these so-called Native Americans are here, is because they crossed the Bering Straits. You know what I'm saying? To colonize, right? And they crossed that land bridge from Russia through what we now call Alaska, and went south to colonize, right? So colonization is a human endeavor, not a European endeavor, bro.
Were they coming to colonize, or were they coming to seek out other lands? Were they spreading out? Which one was it?
They didn't know if anybody was here or not.
The only factual, your sound is out.
But when they,
my favorite colonizer.
My sound is off?
Yeah, your sound is static. It's a lot of static.
Yeah, it's a lot of static on your end, only facts. My fault. I meant to tell you.
Oh, I might be too close to the mic. Is that better?
So,
or is it pretty much the same?
That's better.
Ooh, say something.
Is that better?
Well,
I was too close to the mic. Was that better?
It's still a little light, but it's not. It's consistent. I think that moving back did help a little bit, but at the end, I still hear a little bit of static.
Okay,
real quickly, so we I think we covered that topic pretty well. If nobody has anything else, we'll say we'll go ahead and go to the next topic. Fresh.
Yeah, I did want to say, well, to answer your question, yeah, it's historically been documented that Africans from the continent did go different places to take over. One of the examples, not just only Hannibal, but the Moors. The Moors took over Europe, and they did it through violence a lot of the times.
And the audience out there, I know black people ain't gonna be able to have a conversation about colonized without bringing up Africa, so we got to ring a bell for that. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, but you also got to consider that
all this.
Our plight was worse.
All this colonization by all these darker skinned people, and then you go to the places where they allegedly had the power at. Who's in power? And who's being treated like, I know Italians. I was just talking to a girl over in.
Hold on, Will.
She ain't from.
Real quick. I know you brought up some really good points, but we got more to get into. So let's go and get this comments. Help the bear. I was just about to say that, Vulcan. Native Americans didn't believe you could own land.
That's facts. So, so when the colonizers came over there and said, they're like, hey, this land is not ours. This is this is God's land. The white man was all right. Let's sign this right here, then.
Oh, cool. Yeah, cool. We talked to guys. Say we got it. Say look.
Yeah. So, got any more comments?
Nah, just this one.
Help the Bear says we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Straight up.
And that's why I mean the narrative.
I also want to point one more thing out. You also got to consider how many people that look like them talking about white that Europe conquered. They conquered more of Europe and Asia than they did of Africa. When you talking about where, just talking about Roman conquerors, they conquered, Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, Greece, Albania, Bosnia, Central Europe, Belgium. Like those are all white people for the most part, right? Romania, Ukraine. Those make up much more of the Roman Empire when they were conquering. I'm just specifically talking about the Roman Empire. We're not even talking about any of the other massive empires that have happened over history. The vast majority of Roman Empire was made up of parts of Europe and Asia. Yes, they also got Africa, but it's making it seem like they targeted people of color when really they was getting
They
everybody.
took what they
You
wanted.
got land, we looking
Yeah,
for land.
yeah.
If you got it, we need that.
Yeah.
It's not
You got land over
a
there. It'd be
colorism
ashamed
thing.
if somebody
It's an
discovered
expansion
it.
thing. Yeah,
All right, so
I'm
yeah.
trying to give what I got that I think is the best to everybody that's out there, whether they want it or not. We just have a very biased, like kind of just focus, kind of like blinders on each side to the people that look like us, which is common, but it's not intellectually accurate or honest when you consider all of the facts.
Got you, Fresh. And I know Will has a response already, but let's go and get to the next
You
question.
know it.
You're gonna have plenty of time, Will. We got you. All right, so the next question: which would you prefer to live in today, Pilgrim or Native American culture? If you had to pick one, you're gonna live like this. You and your family are gonna live like this. How you want to live? Like the Pilgrims lived, like the Native Americans live. Let's go and start with Will. Which one you choosing, Pilgrims or Native Americans?
Oh, wait. I would probably have to be a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more versed in the culture of each one, how they did things, you know. But
if you had to go off the top of your head,
I mean, I would probably have to go Native American, man. I guess.
Yeah,
Probably have to go Native American with it.
All right, Enos, what about you?
Pilgrims.
Okay, Angel.
Pilgrims.
Derek.
Pilgrims.
Dre.
I don't have enough knowledge to say, man. I don't know.
Which one you leaning more towards? I don't think anybody knows, but if you had to guess, if you just had to pick one, what would you say?
Native American.
All right, we get yes, sir. But a feather in his cap. All right, so Freshly, what you got?
The Pilgrim.
All right, only facts and stats. I don't know if you got the chance to hear the question.
Yeah, man. Pilgrims, man. Pilgrims.
Okay, so we got 2 Native Americans and 1 Pilgrim. Let's go ahead and get into Will first. Why you say Native Americans in 30 seconds or less?
I mean, I guess sitting around with your people, your constituents, passing the peace pipe. That don't sound like a bad time. It sounds like some brothers getting together, trying to philosophize about some peace, man. They're trying to, figure things out. But also, from what I understand, it seemed like they were respectful to, I guess, whatever they killed. It wasn't a wasteful type of society. If an animal,
right?
Yeah, if an animal or they took something from the land, they'll try to replace it and things like that. So I kind of agree with that. We're trying to not be destructive and leave it a little better than you found it if you can, and just conserve a little bit, I guess. And some people would argue that, I don't know how true it is, but the whole global warming thing and the way we abuse certain minerals and elements.
You dropped enough nuggets for us for the early part of it. Appreciate that. Coach, did you want to give a why, or was for you it was like a toss up?
Random select, fam.
Yeah. Okay, so Angel, you said the Pilgrims, right?
Yes.
Why would you choose the Pilgrims over the Native Americans?
So when Jesus spread the gospel to the disciples went out and they spread the gospel. Gospel started over there. And I think the main thing I say because of the Pilgrim was because historically they prioritized the religious devotion. They already had the religious devotion and they brought the religious devotion to the new lands that they went to. So I would say the Pilgrims based on the religious devotion.
Got you. Okay. Only facts. Why'd you say Pilgrims?
Yeah, I'm similar, because my life is about morality. My morality is based on monotheism, and the Pilgrims came from a monotheistic religious perspective.
Okay, Freshly, how about yourself?
I like a lot of the modern things that we have. Okay, TV, running water. Okay, motor vehicles. All right,
them TPs go
There's
hard.
A lot of stuff, huh?
Them TPs go hard.
Central heating and air conditioning. I need that. Okay.
You remember Dave Chappelle said he was hanging out with the Native Americans? He was like, man, it was cool, man. They gave him my own teepee. It was kind of messed up because they all had houses. All right, so go over yourself.
Yeah, I agree with Angel and Only Facts. Even Fresh, the modern times, the religion, devotion, and the Pilgrims is more diverse. The Western civilization on record has been the culture and the people that was able to advance civilization more than any other culture, historically speaking. So that's why I chose the Pilgrims.
Got you. Okay, and then Derek.
Technologically advanced. That's
what you got, Derek.
Same reason as Enos. I mean, Pilgrims had a structured civilization. They had a written legal system. There's, it had sort of a established governmental models, and so it was just a little more structured. Plus, I ain't keen into wearing makeup and feathers. So,
all right, Fresh, you got comments?
It's war paint, man. It's war paint.
Yeah. We got Carmel Candy says, hi, everyone.
What's up?
Welcome. Lavelle J. Ellis says, shout out to Kurt holding it down. Sorry I'm late. Now, Kurt was one of the people that was commenting earlier.
And then Help the Bears.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying he answers the question.
Oh, yeah. Help the Bears is Native Americans before the Pilgrims came. So, yeah. Okay, so any more comments? Well, I do want to let y'all know, Lavelle, man, he's doing big things. Thanks for the Broken Soapbox. He's got his own podcast. He's got a few different channels that he does, and it's from sports to commentary on popular podcasts, and he's big time. He's rubbing elbows with the big dogs out there. So all the support that he gets, man, hopefully some of that finds its way over here. He says, "What up, Will?
Shout out
What's happening, brother?
Yeah. We started hooping together back in the day.
I'm inspired by Lavelle, man. Shout out to you. I've been following you, man. Keep doing your thing.
Yes, sir. Val, we call him mid-range, man. That midi was something he played with.
It's crazy.
And Will was a bucket. So,
Val, nice for real.
Yeah. So going back to the next. So I think you have anything more on this one right here, or okay?
I want to add one thing. I don't know the next topic, but
can you put the question back up again, Fresh. Go ahead, Will.
I was finna say it kind of sounds like a little like what Earl Musk was saying a couple days ago or last month. Remember, I guess the dude was interviewing him about that whites will become the minority in America, and he was like, "Oh, well, that's a bad thing. Do y'all want to go back to the jungle?" Things like that. Like, why do we attribute technology or technological advancements, or we seem as though we wouldn't make it to where we made it at now without the white man, even though a lot of his knowledge, ingenuity, and even flat out inventions was taken from, some of these Native American peoples. I think we look at Native Americans as just the Indians alone, but I mean, a lot of them look just like us as well. It was brothers who was also Native Americans. I don't think when you look at the Americas in totality and everything that we've found here as far as artifacts, I don't think it was just all teepees everywhere, man. At that time, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I think it was a couple of more other structures that they had put together, man.
Yeah, man, I think it's important to understand. I think that's a good point you bring up, Will. The Pilgrims primarily, as Stats said, they came over here for religious reasons. These weren't warriors that came over here. These are people who were fleeing, who went to the Dutch first, and their kids were starting to speak Dutch, and they were like, "We want our own place to go to," and they came over here, and they ended up landing like 200 miles away from where they were trying to get to.
Them dudes was called conquistadors. Stop that.
You got the different iterations. You got the Columbus. You have different iterations of it, but it's a really good point. And so the thing about it is, we see what civilization has come from with the foundation they had from the Magna Carta all the way to the Constitution we have, and the lineage and the line that goes from one to the other. And we got to understand that the way a lot of these native places people were, and I attribute a lot of the success Pilgrims had was due to their Christianity. Where Christianity flourished You saw liberty go up, literacy rates go up. You saw science start to develop. That was part. You saw they had something what's called, and didn't exist necessarily at this time, but the Pilgrims were known for their strong work ethic, and that was coming from their views coming from the Bible. And so they're not that far removed from Martin Luther, So they're within like 200 years, I believe, of what happened with Martin Luther. These, so these guys are coming right into the Protestant Reformation and deal with Roman Catholicism and stuff like that. So these people were really big on their religious convictions, as somebody mentioned earlier, and that's what they wanted to do, and they were just doing their best. Now there are some crazy things that go along with that. If anybody's read the book Scarlet Letter, you see that sometimes they can overdo some things, but it was a very harsh place. Like I said, 50% of them passed away, by the time of the Thanksgiving meal that they had, just from how harsh it was to live over there. And if it wasn't for the Native Americans, they wouldn't have survived. So I want to say that most of us are saying that we would rather live like the Pilgrims. So that's why I go back to the other question we had before of if we would prefer the Pilgrims' way of life and what it led to, why is it we critique them so much more than the culture that most people would say was inferior to live in based off what we're saying here today? That was my question before. And so this to me is just kind of reconciling the two together from y'all's personal preference here. So we can go to the next question.
That's still a very, the means justify the ends type of perspective though. Like, yeah, it was kind of wild, but I kind of benefited from it on the back end. So I guess it was cool. I don't think that's
I think the question was the one before we're talking about was just why is all the criticism on the colonizer, not on the Native American? And so we all agreed that that's what we hear most of criticism. But then when we asked everybody on the panel, they say, if I had to pick the two, I would have lived like a pilgrim. So it's like it's almost like
you want to live like the winner. That doesn't mean the way they won was end up.
If Elon Musk and a bum get into a fight and Elon Musk doesn't make it out that fight, I still have to live like Elon Musk.
Hey, listen, not if Elon Musk lost his company.
Yeah. So
like they say, I guess scripturally. Like I don't know if it's in the scripture, but you hear that old saying all the time. They say, what does it benefit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? So
if profit a man, yo.
There you go. Yeah, so they get in the money, but like how? Okay, I feel like this.
I like this. Wisdom, but we got another question we got to get to here. We got here. We still got a lot more to go. What we got, Fresh?
Last one. Last comment.
So it says right here. This comment. So it says right here. Help the Bear says just because you were a pilgrim doesn't mean you survived, and likewise being a Native American. So just because you definitely wouldn't doesn't mean you survived. That's facts.
Next question.
Right. Yes, sir. So which society was more barbaric, the Native Americans or the Pilgrims? And we'll start off with Angel on that one.
I wasn't there. I don't know.
If you had to guess.
If I had to guess, I mean, like you said earlier, I mean, they're like in Africa, you had tribes fighting against other tribes. And all we can do is go by what the information that's given to us. Okay. So
if you had to guess a pilgrim or Native American, who's more barbaric? You just had to pick, even though you wouldn't want to. Why are you thinking about it, Stat? You already know which one you want to say?
That's a tough one there.
Nah, I wouldn't label either more barbaric. I think that's a looking back kind of moral decision. But I will say this. I will say that if the Pilgrims were truly barbaric, they had the technology to wipe the Native Americans out completely. I will say that because they had the gun. So
if you had to guess, are you saying that they were both equally barbaric or equally not barbaric?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Equal. Okay. Yes. Dre, for yourself.
Toss up. I'm going to say Indians.
Okay, Angel, you ready now?
Yeah, I'm still 50-50 on both of them. About
50-50. So you're saying they're about equal?
Yeah, they're about equal.
Okay,
yeah.
Will.
Man, from what I understand and what I believe I know, I'm gonna have to go with the Pilgrims, man.
There we go. That's my boy Will, Mr. Consistent, all day, every day. He knows what you got.
Native Americans.
Okay, and then Fresh.
Pilgrims.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Pilgrims.
Pilgrims?
Pilgrims.
Okay. So we got a good little mix going right now. Before I get, instead of going into the whys like we normally do, well, I guess we'll do it. Everybody give a quick why. So we'll go first. Give you 30-second why. Say what
I
you
guess,
said.
man, like I got,
Just in case we forget, just say, you picked who you picked and then why.
yeah, I felt that the Pilgrims, man, from what I understand, they seem to come off a little more barbaric. I mean, when I think of the Native Americans and things like that, like I say, what comes to mind to me is a seeming symmetry with nature, or attempt to understand and not ruin the earth that supplies you with your minerals and nutrients. That's what I understand. But why I say the Pilgrims is like y'all said, man, these are people who come, very seemingly religious. The what is it? I think it's like they were like Protestant something background, something like that. So it's like, to claim that, and then you say they were hard workers, so they religious hard workers, but they came and it's like you didn't really want to see people not put on reservations. You know what I'm saying? You didn't want to toil the land, and why you got to make people work for you? You know what I'm saying? Like
Got
that's
you. Okay, I got you. Let's go ahead and go. Stat, have you went yet?
I said both.
What team did you pick and why?
I say both because because I believe that what we call the Native Americans are very good at passing down traditions, the traditions that they have exhibited in fighting an enemy are truly barbaric. When we talk about scalping and pulling out inners and doing that kind of stuff and putting them on display, I think that's truly barbaric. But I think in their conflict against the Pilgrims, they were at a disadvantage, and the Pilgrims were very barbaric by having such technology and being being the likely pro. Let me see, how can I say, being the first to fire, being likely being the first to fire, right? Was truly barbaric on behalf of the Pilgrims. Definitely. So I can say it equally for different reasons.
Got you. And then Enos, what you got?
Yeah, so I understand what people were saying as far as the macro, like it was mass numbers, the Pilgrims or the Westerners, they did dominate this world globally. But I chose the Native Americans because they have religious rituals where they sacrifice kids. That's not in the belief system of the Pilgrims. So that's more barbaric to me. Not doing more violence on the macro level, like I said earlier, I can get that, but barbaric when you sacrificing kids for religious reasons, that's on a whole nother level.
Okay. And then Angel, have you said yours yet?
Yeah, and now that I think about it, yeah, the Indians and thinking about the Aztecs over there, what the blood sacrifices that they made over there.
Some estimate over 2,500 a year.
Yeah, and then over there, I'd rather take a bullet
sacrifice
head sculpt, even though it's gone now, but I'll take a bullet first.
Yeah.
But and I think the colonizers, again, they were more that you would say they were brutal, but they were more faith-based or Christian-based. And I will say that because I remember the stories, hearing how they would decide if a woman was a witch or not, dump her in the water, and if she comes up, she's a witch, but if she doesn't, okay, she wasn't, and we just drowned her, but again, just going back to the Indians, not just Native Americans, but Indians worldwide, in Mexico, and all these other countries, Peru and all that, their way of was very, what we would consider very barbaric and unhumane.
Okay, Coach, you got anything you want to say on that?
I got nothing, bro. I mean, I agree with what they were saying. about the Indians. I
Yeah.
chose Indians, and I'm gonna stick with that.
So anybody, so Will, you know, you had your standpoint. Did you want to cross-examine anybody? Anybody want to cross-examine Will? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
I wish we could do the numbers, man, as to how many, for how long. You see what I'm saying? Or yeah, I mean, I wonder what the numbers would be.
The numbers of what? Angel, you got something you want to say?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys, maybe somebody can remember about the Sentinese people. You know what I'm talking about, the Sentinese people?
Anybody know
So
about
there was this was early, I believe this was in 2018, not too long ago, or 2014. A missionary guy named John Child.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Went to the Sentinel Island, and he was trying to convert the natives.
That's the guy who got speared.
He got arrowed.
Oh yeah, arrowed. Yeah.
On his third attempt, his first and second attempt, they missed him, and he still attempted a third time to go in there and convert these people to Christianity, and they speared him to death because I guess they didn't want the diseases. They just didn't want. So that was he came in peace, but they were very barbaric. They were going to kill him.
Gotcha. So fresh.
Maybe they tried to miss him.
You can put the next question up. We'd appreciate that. So
they were going to kill him, or they did kill him.
They killed him.
Yeah, they killed.
They killed him, but he was warned not to go there. He was warned not to go there.
So real quickly, so Help the Bear says some of them Native Americans was putting belt to behind on the other tribes. Pilgrims were more barbaric because they didn't wash they. All right, what else we got? So next question we got, fellas. Do you think you and or your family have benefited more from colonialism